DTs.
I don't know how to explain
I couldn't believe that DT dragged that many mines, to be honest. I was like, is this thing going to die anytime soon? Well, it looks as though IdrA is prepared for the actual drop. So these DTs ended up being used for defense instead of offense. However, Fenix is still in pretty good shape.
Yeah, Fenix is in good shape. You know, he's got that third base going up. Yeah, there is a little bit of vulture ass, but that's all right. He already has his robotics, so he can get observers out. And, you know, he's got a lot of tech roots out there. And IdrA really lost a lot of units there. And that rush, you know, when you think about it, he got siege mode. He used 4 tanks, 3 of which he lost. That's a ton of gas that slowed down IdrA's other factories. So really, right now, despite the DT drop doing no damage to IdrA's economy or base, it has gotten Fenix ahead.
Yes, it has. It certainly has. Now, we're entering an interesting phase in this game because next is going to be Arbiters. And right now, IdrA, if this game pans out the way I think it will, IdrA should be behind in the late game. IdRA's getting the armories out later. He did an early push, which failed, and then he was irresponsible enough to plant mines while he's retreating from a DT around his own units, and he got him blown up again. So if Arbiters come out here, they're going to be much stronger. Then the science vessels are going to be much later.
Totally true, totally true. And, you know, the one redeeming factor about all these bad things happening to IdrA is it's on Xinchu-Pengyang. And this map, as you can see, it's a very thin map. You can really cut it in half very, very easily.
Yes.
So really what IdrA should do here, I think, is go into a very defensive style of play. You know, just defend everything.
Yes.
Because it's going to be insanely hard for Fenix to get enough units to actually overwhelm IdrA.
Yeah, exactly. Now, note that he does still have that one DT. He's forcing the Terran to waste scans. And again, I don't know why Greg pushed there. I really don't agree with that. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but that just didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
At all. I mean, you're not going to win with your second push, especially at this phase of the game. That's right when the gateways are kicking in.
Yeah, and, you know, you just lost more tanks there. It's going to be harder to defend. You know, when you get far behind, you have to choose, all right, am I going to, you know, do something very risky? Am I going to just kind of go all in on my opponent, or am I going to go into defensive mode? And really, on this map, with these two players, the right choice for IdrA is to go into a defensive mode, and he just hasn't chosen that here. And Fenix is getting further and further ahead. He's got 3 bases up, Arbiter Tech is starting, and IdrA has just lost so many units, and his factors are just so slow that I don't think he's going to have any timing to do significant damage.
I got to agree with you there. We have the scanners out, but really, IdrA's already fallen into Fenix's trap. By pushing out prematurely, he uses that 1 DT, he drops, picks up, and all Terran can do is scan, and that means he's going to have a lot less scans for when these Arbiters are out, and that could be nightmarishly bad.
Oh, especially with, as you were saying earlier, you know, the later tech, because of having to buy all those tanks and getting everything later, he's not going to have a science vessel out at normal times. And the normal timing of the science vessel is right around or right after Arbiters get out. So if you push that back at all, it gets really dangerous. It's going to be an area of the game where IdrA has to rely upon these scans, and that's just going to slow him down if he thinks he's going to be able to kill one of these expansions.
This is one of these maps where you cannot hard push. I mean, you can rush to a location and set up turrets, but you're not going to be able to slowly crawl across the map, making buildings, playing like evade. You're not going to be able to get away with something like that on this map. This is a map where you have to have a large army and very good siege mode timing and mine planting. And look, it can only be 1 or 2 seconds of an entire cloaked army doing damage to you for you to lose a battle that you could have won easily.
That is so true, especially in Protoss versus Terran, because all the Terran units are actually ranged, of course. So, you know, the fact that you missed a volley or 2 changes everything. Plus, the units have already closed on you.
Yes.
So, I mean, Terran units overall are kind of weak. You know, you use the positioning of them, the high damage of them, the range of them to make up for that. And, you know, any of that at all, any of free pot shots under an Arbiter is just completely devastating to Terran. You have to be so far ahead for that not to matter.
Yeah, exactly. Now remember that out of all the matchups in this game, these are probably the toughest units that we see, with the exception of maybe PVZ. Unlike TVZ where everything dies so quickly, it's unbelievable. But at the same time, that doesn't mean there's any room for error here. This is probably the matchup where having the correct flanks or sieging up in the right locations is more important than any other matchup in a battle.
I gotta agree with you there. If you do not flank Terran just right with Protoss, or you get just the right size storms or just the right stasises, the Terran can just roll you over if he knows how to macro, because these tanks just do a bajillion damage.
A bajillion damage, yes.
Bajillion.
Yes.
Ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, actually, how much tanks do. All right, here we go.
Very bad attack.
Psionic Storm not really getting utilized here. He should have put that Templar in a shuttle. No, this is a disaster here by Fenix. I don't know what Fenix was doing. He didn't even need to attack there.
He should have waited for IdrA to go over to a hill or something.
Yeah, exactly.
But he just did exactly the opposite of what we were just talking about. You need to get just the right flank, and he ran right in a line into this huge clump of super ranged units.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's just... Oh, man. Well, it looks like he may have macroed up enough units. Now, you have to remember that Greg made 2 severe blunders this game, which are really costing him. I think this push would have had much more efficacy had he not played this game out the way he did.
Yeah, he would have a lot more siege tanks right now, especially considering he wasted 2 pushes. Not only just 1, but 2 pushes were wasted, so that's like 8+ tanks. And really, siege tanks, the thing about them is they get exponentially more powerful as you get more of them. And I mean, if you have 4 siege tanks or you have 8 siege tanks, it is a world of difference. That splash damage just pulverizes stuff as you get more.
Exactly, and if you have a few vultures in the front like we're seeing here, the zealots are never going to get to them. They're never going to get to them. Now, I don't know about IdrA's position here. I don't know if he's going to gain any benefits here from being in this spot on the map. He can be counterattacked, which means he can't really expand again. And while he's getting close to expansions, he's not getting there fast enough.
Yeah, he's moving down, but Fenix is having a lot of time to macro. As we see on the mini-map, he has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bases, and IdrA only has 2, and I think his main has mined out, in fact, whereas Fenix's has not even, because he's been transferring so many probes out. So we see that Fenix's economy is way bigger. If IdrA really wants to be aggressive right now, he needs to almost just unsiege an attack move, because Fenix is just going to whittle him down with this Arbiter while he macros up, and then it's just going to be over.
I do not agree with IdrA's tank clump here. I mean, that's just asking for a stasis. Okay, he spread it out now. Thank God. My blood pressure was going up just watching that. I was like, okay, there's the stasis.
Beautiful stasis right there. Grabbing the 3 front tanks. Going to buy some time for that Nexus.
Yeah.
Slow IdrA down some more.
This is quite a game we're seeing here, but I think Fenix is getting a little bit out of control. And I don't know, even if IdrA loses his expansion, so what? I mean, yeah, here, we're getting a shot of his base now. He has enough gateways and arbiters, more than 1 arbiter out here, so recalling is dangerous, stasis is dangerous. And really, this map is like a giant maze that I don't think IdrA is ever going to find the all the expansions for, or at least ever get to them. He should have brought a ball of string or something, because he's never going to get to all these expansions Fenix has.
He needs to drop some cookie crumbs or maybe some dead nexuses in his path. Find his way back to these bases, because Fenix is just going to be playing refugee toss, if anything.
Yeah, well, and this is what's funny about when you get in this position is Protoss can keep running from you and expanding, and because of the architecture of this map, it's very difficult for Terran to ever actually catch up, even though Terran has a stronger army.
And the real problem is they'll get so many arbiters just flying those around, building up arbiter numbers. That's not even going to matter if you get a huge, strong army, because stasis just LOLs all over that.
Yeah, it totally ruffles on that. I mean, it's not even funny. Even though it LOLs all over it, it's not funny.
Not funny at all.
There's nothing funny about it. It's actually very frustrating.
Yeah.
This is
like a dirty battle right here.
This is ugly.
IdrA out of position everywhere.
Oh my God! And that was a great side storm by Fenix. Fenix knows he's won. He's running circles right now around IdrA. Oh my God!
Yeah, that's what happens.
Gee,
Raffle, you're so bad.
Well, that sounds like the IdrA that everybody knows.
Classic IdrA bad manner.